Hi, I'm Anna and I'm a mixed media artist. I love to play and experiment with different materials, but the two things I use most are glue and acrylic paint. But both of them are made of plastic, which is okay if you just stuck them on a surface like you do with glue, but with acrylic paint you always end up with some waste. And that waste, yeah, I have to be honest, I used to pour it down the drain. At the beginning, I didn't use that much, but then I started to think about it. It's safe to work with because there are no chemicals that you can inhale or will irritate your skin. But when I pour it down the drain, it goes down the drains, it goes down the sewer, it might end up in the ocean. But what am I putting into that ocean? I'm putting into that ocean plastic. So plastic soup is not only a horrible thing for nature because I like to be environmentally friendly, but putting plastic down my drain actually also will cause problems for my drain. So it's also a practical problem. So I needed a solution. And over the years, I've tried so many things. Because when you go searching on the internet, there it's a rabbit hole you go down to. So you will see so many different methods, and I think I've tried most of them. For example, using an open bucket to put all your acrylic paint wastewater in, let it evaporate, and then you wait and wait and wait again some more to let it evaporate, and it will take forever. And it doesn't smell really good if it's standing there forever. So I need a different method. I went down the rabbit hole again, and now I found a method that works for me. It's based on a method you might have seen with a paint brand, but I made it so it fits my needs and it's easy to use, so I have no excuse to add something to the plastic soup or ruin my drains. First, what we're going to do, actually, we're going to get the wastewater, and all the wastewater that I've collected, we are going to separate the waste, the plastic, from the water. And in order to do it, we need some materials. The things that we need are aluminium sulfate and calcium carbonate. It could be hydrated lime if you have that lying around for your garden. It's perfectly well if you use that. I just use these two. And of course, I use my bucket where I collect my wastewater in. And I have some pH strips. And these strips I use just to test if the water and the substance is okay to pour down the drain and if it really worked the separating the both parts, the particles, from the water. I need a spoon, a steering stick. I need some coffee filters because with the coffee filters, I am going to filter the particles from the water. And even though I'm using all natural ingredients, it is chemistry. So just in case, I'm also using disposable gloves. The first step is collecting the wastewater. And in order just to keep my wastewater down, one of the things that I do when I'm painting, I grab a brush, and when that brush is dirty, first I clean it with a kitchen towel or a cloth, so there's hardly any acrylic paint on it before I put it in my wastewater. That way, I might keep my wastewater low, and I will keep the water that I'm going to use in this process low as well. When it's all done, I pour it in a bucket. And the bucket I'm using, because I like to reuse, is just a bucket from yogurt. My yogurt bucket works really well. And the reason why I think it works well, because it has a lid as well. So when I save up to fill this bucket, I can put the lid on so it won't smell too much and I won't spill it. I'm going to grab my aluminium sulfate. I just bought my ingredients on Amazon, but you can buy them almost anywhere. I never knew it was so easy to get these ingredients. First, I grab about, let's say, for this bucket, I think it's about a liter. I don't know what it is. About half a tablespoon. And half a tablespoon I put in here. And now I want to mix it. So I'm just grabbing this old paint stick, and you can mix with whatever. I'm mixing it so it will go be all over the water. It's all dissolved in the water. And you see some particles coming already. When you put like half a spoon in there, I'm grabbing my calcium carbonate powder. I'm taking about a tablespoon of it. So it's about double that of the ammonium sulfate I put in there before. And I put it in there. You see the bubbles coming up already. I'm still going to stir it because I want it to dissolve as well. Now when it's in here, you just see the fluctuation start. This fluctuation process is really interesting. So I like to stay and watch for a bit. But if you're really impatient, like I'm going to be eventually, just walk away, do some dishes, do whatever you want to do, some painting maybe, and come back later. Because after the fluctuation, you will see that the water will go up top, and you will see the waste, the particles will go down. Oops. I don't know if you noticed during this process, but I wasn't wearing my gloves. I wasn't doing all the safety things that I was supposed to do. I can rewind it because now I have to make a big buck of water then, and that's just the process. That's just how it goes. So you get the, the real thing. But I'm going to put on my gloves now. So when I'm doing the pouring, you see me being very responsible. And even though the process is still ongoing, I could wait until the end, but I want to make sure I'm doing the process correctly. I'm using my pH strip just to measure and see if I did the right measurements and see if I make right consistency to make this process work. And it's better to find out soon than late. So I'm grabbing my strip and I'm putting it in here. It doesn't mean that it's the wrong strip if you hardly see any discoloration. Now, when there's not much happening, I'm going to put my pH strip in there because it could be there's not enough calcium in there or not enough aluminium in there, or that I'm just being impatient. So I'm grabbing the strip and I'm going to try. And when I'm looking at the strip, I'm looking here and it's a little bit between yellow and green, so that should be okay because the value should be between 5 and 9. When it's higher, you just add some aluminium. If it's lower, just add some calcium just in case. But since I feel there's not much happening over here, I think it's not really following my own rules, but I think it's more towards the 5. So I think just in case I'm going to add some calcium. And yes, I'm stirring the things that were on the bottom as well. So it could be better if you just being a bit less impatient. But since they're already flocked into chunks, they will go down fairly quickly. And I know it's really hard to see, but you don't only see the fluctuation, you will also see that there's water lying on top if you see the edge. So here the paint is actually going down. For me, this feels a lot better. So I see some things happening. So I think it was a right call just to add a little bit. This is such a fun science project. Okay, now it's time. I've waited for about an hour and hopefully it's enough. Since I'm using a bucket that is white on the inside, more or less, and colored on the outside, it's really hard to see that the particles went to the bottom of the bucket and that the water is lying on top. So I'm just trying to rely on experience, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to pour this so I can separate both. I have got a container. This one is glass, so you could actually see the color staying on top in the clear water is getting in here. And I'm using just an old peanut butter jar. And I am putting my strainer on top. And I am going to put my coffee filter in the strainer. And now I can start pouring it in. But when you start pouring it in, just be careful because not everything will fit in there at once. So just take your time. And as you see, the water is actually clear in the strainer. It actually is more or less clear, but all the water that goes down is clear as well. So it worked. Even though it didn't look like it, it worked. And since I'm not using too much because my bucket isn't really too big, it goes faster than I expected. And you see that the water is coming out, but the paint particles are still sitting at the bottom, but they will get into the filter, don't you worry. And just in case, if your peanut butter jar or whatever bucket you're using is smaller than the bucket you use with your wastewater, that's perfectly fine. Just stop pouring so you know there's enough in your glass and you're not overflowing it, and you just throw it out, put it back down, put the strainer back on, and put the rest of your wastewater in there. Lift this up, put it in the bucket. Doesn't matter if the water goes in here again because it came out from there. And I'm just getting this water and throw it out. I can start with a clean jar again, and oh yay, of course that would happen. But luckily, I got on the service. I can get rid of it because when I'm just using, um, because when I'm just using a paper towel, I can clean it, throw that out, so it's still not going into the sink. And now you see some of the pink pouring in because now it's in the bucket, it's more paint than it is water. So you see it's pink here, but there is still clear water coming out. And you know what? Sometimes it happens that you didn't wait long enough just because you're new to the process, for example. And then your water will not only be pink on top, it be will also be pink in the bottom. So where your clean water is still a bit pinkish, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw this back in my container. And you know, that's okay because when you look at the coffee filter, you see that the water is lying on top, so it's still separating. And you see when you look at the dripping, you see that there is clean water coming out. We're back on track. We're still doing good. Okay, and when you're done straining, you probably end up with a bucket that still has some paint in there. And first reaction is probably to clean it. But when you clean it with water, you have to do the whole process again, and you really don't want to. There are a few ways that you can go about it. First of all, you can let this dry and it will get like chunky and you can get it out like powder and you can throw it in the bin. You can wrap your paper towel in it and throw it in the bin, or you can just leave it because you put your next cup of wastewater on here as well and you just continue the process. Next time, it's totally fine. Oh, and you know what the best part of the process is? When you come back after lunch and walking your dog and you see that all the water has gone into this jar. It's all clean. That's not the best part. The best part is what in here. I mean, this looks so beautiful. I'm just taking it out. I'll just open it and see this. I think it's absolutely beautiful the way it looks. And it's, yeah, it's now it's still wet. It's weird consistency. It feels almost like paint. But when this dries, it will harden and you will get those rocks and it would look like powder. And yes, I already tried to make paint out of it. You have to add a medium to make it look like paint. Just water is not enough because it won't stick to the paper. But yeah, there's so many ways how you could reuse this or just let it dry and throw this in the bin. I have an example from another time I did this. It wasn't red, no, it was more greenish. It was a lovely color. And here you see what happens. It is so incredibly beautiful. And now it's completely safe to throw out clean water through your sink or reuse it as your paint water. This is the way that fits me in my studio practice. And there are a lot of different ways. But if you use acrylics, maybe this could be beneficial for you too. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you have even a better method or a different method that works too, please leave it in the comments, because so you can not only inspire me but also others and help us before we go down the rabbit hole again. And besides doing this, I'm a big fan of reusing. I reuse almost everything in my studio. I reuse all paints, I reuse my scraps, I reuse everything. That's just a way that my studio practice works. That's just a part of my conscious life. And if you like this video, if you like me experimenting, if you like to know how you could reuse things and make yourself more creative with all those little things, just subscribe to this channel, and I hope to see you next time in a new video.